Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. As we all know, we are discussing Tuvataka Sutta, which is available in the Attaka Vagga of Sutta Nipata. And particularly, this is referred as a sutta which is explained by the Buddha during a huge gathering of Devas and the Brahmas. It happened in the Kapilavattu. And Buddha is not alone, he was with 500 Arahants. And at that time, there were uncountable number of Devas and Brahmas. And more details are available in the Mahasamya Sutta of Digha Nikaya. And this sutta particularly gives a kind of a orientation about the Buddha's teaching in a more practical way. He directly tells, okay, you need to do this. Very much like a very straightforward, to the point kind of instruction. Not much detail, very concise, emphasizing the practice. And so we were discussing this now for several weeks and altogether covered several verses. And the structure of the sutta is very much like the mind-made Buddha asking questions and the real Buddha giving the answers. And particularly we can see that there are two questions asked. The first question is about a general thing, how to basically one can avoid any kind of clinging and attain the Nibbana. It's a very general question. There also Buddha's answer particularly emphasize in one sense about the papancha, some sort of inner proliferation going on that has to be abandoned and its root has to be cut off. And then whatever the inner askings, inner inclinations, inner some sort of desires, cravings, so that has to be mindfully recognized and that too has to be abandoned. And then the next question is related to the complete patimokka, that means the sila and then the samadhi. So akittai vivatta chakku sakhi dhammang parissaya vinayang patipadang vadehi baddhante. Patipadang vadehi. Now he is requesting to explain about the patipada, the path. So what one has to completely practice. Now here Buddha interestingly giving a account of information related to an Upasampada bhikkhu, a high ordained monk. I feel like so he established the Buddha Sasana and it's new to the whole world. The Sangha is now available. Such group was not available before the arising of the Buddha, where they are practicing in a moral conduct. They also have the concentration practice, the tranquility side. And not only that, they are practicing the wisdom aspect, Sila Samadhi Panya. So it is quite new to the whole world. Now Buddha is introducing this whole practice. Okay, this is the path that you have to take. And now you have to abide by these kind of rules. Try to behave well, restrain yourself. So now Buddha is directly giving the account of Sila, the morality part. Now we already discussed certain aspects of it. Now let's start from where we have stopped. Nindaya nappa vedhiya na unnameya pasansito bhikkhu lobhang saha maccariyena kodhang pesuniyancha panudeya. So here a bhikkhu should not be shaken by blame, nor should he be elated when praised. He should dispel greed and miserliness, as well as anger and slanderous speech. Now this is actually not only for a monk, this is a very common instruction, then how we can go through the vicissitudes of the life. We all have to go through. Sometimes we encounter some sort of gain and we are quite successful. At another time we lose and we don't get enough profit and we lose things. And sometimes it is quite preferable and we can handle everything and we are in a good mood and everything happens as we wish. At another time everything collapses, everything happens in a different way, in an opposite way. So we might get embarrassed. So these kind of situations. And sometimes people are praising us, they are putting us on a pedestal, venerating us. But another time they are criticizing us, they are trying to look down us and they start blaming us. So these two sides are there. And sometimes we become more popular and famous in the crowd. At another time nobody cares about us and they don't even notice us. And sometimes we go through a lot of happiness. On the other hand, sometimes we end up with maybe physical problems, ailments, diseases, mental kind of depressive moods. So different things can happen. So these are the ups and downs of the life. And often people are quite elated when they are going through the positive side. On the other hand, when they go through the negative side, then they are very much like collapse. They start crying, they start weeping and complaining and criticizing and maybe even committing suicide. All these things are possible. Now here Buddha emphasize nindaya nappavedeya. So whenever you go through any sort of blame, any sort of criticism, so don't get shaken. So people criticize even for a person who talk a little, and even for a person who talk a lot, still get blamed, criticized. And again, if a person who is just talking what is necessary, he too become criticized. It's a very common thing. It's very well explained in Dhammapada. It's a very old type of a fashion, old type of a trait in the society. Whatever the way you talk, you get criticized. So nobody is there who haven't been criticized. So one has to understand this. So either we are doing good and trying to be good and taking care of others and many things, still you get criticized. So it's a common practice in the world. Unnameya pasansito bhikkhu, na unnameya pasansito bhikkhu. But on the other hand, when you being praised, so don't get elated. So don't try to get overwhelmed by that. Don't be sort of proud about it. So balance yourself. Lobang saha maccariyang. So one has to abandon this greed and miserliness. So if you have things, you can share with others. And if you have some excess, you can give it to the others. So likewise, maintaining that generosity, either you are a layperson or a monk, these are common qualities that we share as human beings. So rather than being miserly, so one has to ready to give it away when there is a need. Kind of an open-handed attitude. And don't get sort of anger or resentment. So whenever if you feel you're being sort of criticized or you're being attacked or blamed, something like that, so it's quite natural that the mind get agitated and you feel embarrassed and you feel sort of offended and you start resenting the others and sort of having some anger. But don't maintain that for a long time. As quickly as possible, try to come back to your normal, relaxed, calm mentality. Pesunniyancha panudeya. And don't get involved with any slanderous speech. Now these are very common things. So with respect to speech, that there are a few more things coming in the next verses. So this kind of slanderous speech, so some sort of backbiting, some sort of divisive speech. All these things are things that typically available in the society, and we can see how people are sort of suffering because of someone else's this kind of an activity. And these are quite common things, and especially in the political environment we can often see these sort of things. But we as practitioners, we need to learn that if you are ready to go in the opposite direction, in the upstream, so don't just carried away by the typical worldly gain and fame. Try to maintain certain ethics, maintain certain policies in one's life. So it actually gives a kind of a spiritual motivation, spiritual bias in one's mind. Kaya vikkaye na titteyya upavadam bhikkhu na kareyya kuhinchi gamecha nabi sajjayya labhakamya janang na lapayayya. Now these are particularly to the monk. A bhikkhu should not engage in buying and selling. He should not do anything that incurs criticism. He should not form intimacy in the village. He should not address people from a desire for gain. Now, kaya vikkaya. Now, this is actually related to the handling of money. So, one can directly handle money. One have a fair amount of money and he can just spending money and then buying something what is necessary. On the other hand, if you have a lot of other requisites and you can exchange that to someone with someone else, both these sides are not allowed for a monk. One thing is you are directly handling money and you are earning money and spending money as a layperson. That's not allowed. On the other hand, if you have certain other requisites, whatever other assets, but you are in need of some other requisite. Now, say for example, you have a excess chair, but you don't have a table. You can't give the excess chair to another layperson and ask for a table. So you can't do this kind of a property level exchange. So that is why it's called kaya vikkaya. So actually for the monks, it is allowed to do this kind of a exchange with their own colleagues. Now monk with another monk and monk with another, if during the Buddha's time or even now, with another nun or whoever in the monastery who are wishing to be a monk or nun. So like that, so they have within the group, within the monkhood, that there are other siblings, there are other colleagues, and with them one can do the exchange, but not with the lay people. And so kaya vikkaya and the money handling and that basically have not allowed for monks. Upavadam bhikkhu na kareyya kuhinchi. And on the other hand, you as a monk, as a as a practitioner, you might see someone else's sort of drawbacks and some sort of their wrongdoings, but be vigilant and be very careful when you are trying to sort of explain that to them and do a kind of in a gentle way and maintain the good relationship. Don't spoil the whole thing. Don't just quickly jump to a conclusion and criticize and create any kind of friction. So here upavadang particularly means one is doing certain kind of a criticism. There may be certain mishaps or any sort of misdeeds, mistakes that some people are doing that you might observe. But be careful when you are trying to intervene, when you are trying to explain what occasion that are you going to sort of intervene. Now all these things are sometimes Buddha explain, because when you see something wrong, so what is the time, what's the proper time to explain it to the other person? But if we are putting it at a wrong time, then everything can go in a wrong direction. It's very difficult actually to convince the other person to take him to the correct side and explain what's going wrong. And you need to be very careful, and you have to be also quite confident. On the other hand, the attitude has to be a kind of a corrective, compassionate attitude. Not that you are trying to cut off and completely criticize and get the revenge. On the other hand, in a more human way, explain what's really going on and how to correct himself, herself, and take him or herself also to the correct path. Actually, explaining the good thing and trying to get another person to the correct side is a wholesome activity. But still one has to be careful how to do it, when to do it, what's the proper occasion to do it. And then gamecha nabi sajjaya. Now, labha kamyang janang na lapayaya. Now people, actually the monks, can have various relationship with the lay people. And what is actually the context? So are you maintaining such a relationship just to gain some sort of a profit, gain some sort of a fame? Do you have any ulterior motive? Or you are just doing it in a wholesome heart, just to give some instruction, and in case they need any kind of an assistance from the spiritual side, you are ready to give that. So that may be okay. But on the other hand, if you are maintaining any sort of intimate relationship with another person, in the any villager, any sort of another lay person, that can be a troublesome thing. Because sometimes people over dependent on the monk, and they expect too much from a monk, and they ask him to come to each and every activity, and then the monk would lose his time for his own practice. So that is what typically now has happened in the temple environments. So monks are to be engaged with so many cultural activities, religious activities, social activities, and for them there is no time. And the lay people are also expecting too much, and every time this kind of a social work is every time going on, so we have lost the path from the point of monk's point of view. So he has no time for his own practice. But Buddha particularly emphasized, okay, you find a remote place and you understand why you have become a monk. So it is very well mentioned that you can remember in the particularly previous occasion that Buddha is telling, okay, you find this location, remote place, you go there, it's a monastery, it's a forest. Now, don't be a person who are wandering here and there without much aim. And once you find a good place, okay, just establish there. And being there also, don't just sleep. You need to upright, you need to practice. So likewise, Buddha often explain, often advise. But if one is developing too many intimacies with other crowd, so then it's going to be on another direction. Because thing is, the human mind needs certain kind of an association. You can't be just alone. And sometimes you are maintaining some relationship with the colleagues. It may be another monk. But on the other hand, if you are maintaining a relationship with a lay person, that also have to be quite careful. The thing is, sometimes that lay person get criticized by the other lay people, and this intimate relationship can go in a wrong direction, maybe in a wrong sexual relationship. So likewise, many pitfalls could be there. So therefore, one has to be very careful when one is maintaining such a relationship. So actually, there is a separate patipada, separate path explained by the Buddha called Chandopama patipada. And if we get some time, we'll try to explain, particularly explaining that, emphasizing the character of Venerable Mahakassapa. How Venerable Mahakassapa is maintaining his monkhood with the association of lay people, but not too much associating them. Chandopama patipada. So it's a very, very, very difficult balance in a way. So The monk is not supposed to be completely independent. He is not supposed to do a job and earn some money and have his own fruits and foods and everything, and so he's not supposed to so kind of accumulate things. So many things are there. So you are the monk being sort of made dependent. So he's a dependent person. With whom that he is depending? So he is depending on the lay people's generosity. So when you are depending on another party, so they also expect too many things from you, from the monk. So how you are balance this? So it's a very difficult position in a way. In a way, you are depending on the lay people and you have to fulfill certain amount of their sort of desires. On the other hand, you have to maintain your moral code, monastic code, without too much engage with too many activities and having certain time for your own practice. It's a very delicate balance one has to maintain. Then next one. Nacha kattita siya bhikkhu nacha vachang payutang bhaseya pagabhyang na sikheya kathang viggahikang na kathayeya. Now this is entirely related to the speech. Entirely related to the speech. Nacha kattita siya bhikkhu. Now here about the boasting. So one can be a sort of showing off about oneself and his own activities and about his own sila, about his samadhi, about his practice, about his teachers and about his education. So people often boast about themselves. They like that. So whenever he find a chance and he find a mic, so keep on talking about his own achievements and how he is so unique when he is considered among the other monks. And this is common actually in the lay people as well. So whenever you get the chance, one is trying to show off, exaggerate oneself. And in that sense, one is trying to make an opportunity to show your abilities or to show your skills. And on the other hand, it can lead to a criticism or looking down or condemnation of the others. Buddha particularly emphasized this, talking about attukkansana paravambana. Attukkansana means that you are highlighting yourself, putting yourself every time in the pedestal to the first place. Paravambana means you are looking down the others. So this is a kind of a trait in the mind. So whenever we are behaving as an individual, whenever we imagine that there is a self here, there is a person here, automatically there's an ongoing comparison with the other people, with the other individuals. So I am an individual, you are another individual, so how am I doing with respect to you? Am I doing good? Am I better than you? Am I equal to you, or am I worse than you? So likewise, this ongoing comparison can request some sort of a boasting, because otherwise you can't survive. So you need to boast about yourself, you need to highlight about yourself, you have to show your presence in the audience. Then only others start taking care of you, others start sort of praising you, giving you gifts and all that. So this sort of an attitude can happen in one's mind. So you have to show off, I have to show my colors, otherwise other people might not respect me, otherwise others may not notice me. So this sort of an attitude, these sort of thoughts can happen in one's mind. So how to handle that? So these are very subtle thoughts actually. Now probably in a previous occasion we have discussed about the subtle thoughts, sukuma vitakka. They are not kama vitakka, vyapada vitakka, vihinsa vitakka. You know that the thoughts related to sensuality, the lustful thoughts, they are not resentment related thoughts. They are not any kind of harmful in the sense harming another person. So such kind of cruel type of thoughts, they are not like that, but they are very, very subtle thoughts. Like one is getting a kind of a thought, okay, how I can show off myself, how I can boast about myself, how I can show my presence in the audience. And sometimes people trying to whenever assume that you are in a meeting and someone else is talking and you are being sort of neglected, and you assume that you are also a very important person, and sometimes you quickly ask some irrelevant question or completely opposite type of an objective type of question, so that everybody's attention being drawn to you. You become the center of focus. So people are using various different kinds of tactics to boast about themselves. So, but Buddha here emphasize, okay, don't do that. A bhikkhu should not be boastful. Nacha vachang payutang bhaseya, and he should not utter insinuating speech. Now there are occasions that one is talking in a way that others may doing a favor. So you need something, but you are doing it in a more cunning way. You are not directly asking, not into the direct speech, but you are doing a very different insinuating speech, so that others start giving you that. Others feel, okay, I need to give that. These are very subtle traits in the mind. So how you are trying to earn something, get something from the other person through a different way of explaining, showing that it is something that he has to do. So you are taking him to that level, convincing him to that level. So therefore Buddha is telling, okay, if your motivation, if your inner attitude is just to get something from that person, okay, just be careful. So don't do a kind of a cunning, very insinuative type of thoughts, speech, because it is not the kind of the honest, very direct, fairly introvert kind of attitude that one has to maintain. Pagabhyang na sikheya, and sometimes one become quite arrogant or not listening to others and not respecting the others, completely abandon the rules, completely ignore the rules. So this sort of impudent, one become more impudent type of person. So that is also not something Buddha is recommending. So you have to be a little calm, quite relaxed. And if you are living in a community especially, you have to abide by the rules. There may be rules and regulations already established in the particular monastery, established in the particular society, established in a particular team. So you need to respect that. You can't be a completely one who is ignoring everything and behaving in a stubborn way. Rather, you have to look at the common goal, the well-being of that particular group, well-being of that particular monastery. Actually, living within a group is not that easy. Sometimes people are quickly going to the seclusion because they can't live with the group. So that is also not the correct thing, because living within a group, within a community, needs fair amount of sacrifice. You may have your own wish, you may have your way of doing things, but collectively the whole group may have their own already established way of doing things, particularly looking at the betterment of the community, looking at the big goal, not just an individual, very personal kind of a goal, rather looking at the well-being of the whole society. So in such sense that one has to let go of one's own desire and one has to adhere to the existing rules and regulations. So it's in the kind of a giving up It's kind of a letting go. Sometimes people are not doing it, so they just want to do whatever they want. They simply neglect all the existing rules, and that's a unacceptable type of behavior. So therefore, in the monastic situation, so Buddha is emphasizing, okay, if there are already established rules, if there are certain customs already available in the monastery, in this particular community, okay, you got to abide by that, adhere to that. Katang viggahikang na katayeya. And when you are talking, do not utter contentious talk, which can lead to any kind of a dispute, which can lead to any kind of a quarrel. So therefore, don't be a person who is preparing or making any kind of a quarrel. Because sometimes we may be telling the truth, but if it is leading towards any sort of division among the group, clash among the members, even though it is true, but one has to look for the community peace. Actually, I can remember one time when Buddha sneezed, and this Prajapati Gautami, she's a nun at that time, and she's saying to the Buddha, okay, you live long. And Buddha say, Prajapati, it is not the way that you have to wish for the Buddha. I mean, typically people are telling that whenever someone's sneezing, and sometimes they are wishing, okay, you are being blessed and please live long. It's a kind of a little custom that people are doing, a kind of a manner. But Buddha denies it, telling, okay, you are not supposed to do that to the Buddha. Then Prajapati is asking, okay, Bhante, so what I have to do then at such occasion? Then Prajapati wished the accord among the Sangha, the peace among the Sangha. So that is what the Buddha is expecting. It's a very, very critical, very, very interesting argument, expectation in a way, that how Buddha is trying to give a very interesting message to the society. So this accordance, the unity among the Sangha is very, very important. So that is what Buddha is expecting. So if the Sangha is united, if they have a common goal, then it is quite easy to practice. But if they are divided and they have their own individual criteria, their own goals, and not helping each other, and criticizing each other, and looking down each other, highlighting oneself, so it's a very difficult environment to live, very difficult environment to dwell. And then Mosa vajje na niyetha sampajano sathani na kaira atha jivitena panyaya silabbatena nanya mati manyi. This is also very interesting. He should not be led into false speech, nor should he deliberately do anything deceptive. Because of his way of life, his wisdom, or his good behavior and observances, he should not despise another. As I already mentioned, that we may be doing good. You may be protecting the sila, you may be protecting the moral code, and you are also a good practitioner, and you already may have a fair amount of tranquility. You already might have certain amount of wisdom. But using that, don't criticize the others. As I already mentioned, that Buddha often advised, don't do this attukkansana paravambana. You are supposed to do the good thing, you are supposed to do the correct thing, but don't use that as a weapon to criticize the others. In that sense, you become not aligned with the Buddha's teaching. Because in that sense, you are creating a self out of whatever the goodness that you acquire. So whatever the good things is not a reason for you to be completely proud and create a strong self-view and using that trying to criticize the others, so then you are going in the wrong direction. Because Buddha's teaching particularly emphasize the impermanence and the non-self. So what you have today might not be available tomorrow. The skills what you have is not really eternal kind of skills. And those can change. On the other hand, whatever the popularity, the gain, fame, etc., those are also very fragile. Things can change. On the other hand, there can be even sila vipatti, and sometimes there is certain amount of moral conduct and one is protecting sila, but all of a sudden things can go wrong. One has to be quite careful. But if one is using one's moral conduct, one's practice, meditation practice, or any other good quality to criticize another person, then that's not the direction that Buddha is asking the practitioners to move forward. You develop the good qualities, but just keep them for yourself and don't use that as a weapon, as a mechanism to criticize others. Now I can remember a very famous advice that Venerable Matarashri Jnanarama Thero has given. So very similar instruction. You are supposed to develop all the good qualities, but don't show off. Don't show them to the outside. Keep them hid. It's quite different from the typical lay atmosphere. In the society, in the economic atmosphere, it's quite often what happens is that you are showing off and you are doing a lot of marketing and you show that you are the best person, the good person, the best person, and all others are really doing bad and they are unpredictable and not trustworthy. You are the only trustworthy person. So this is the way that the typical society is going through, but don't bring it to the spiritual life. That's the bottom line. Then now here, mosa vajje na niyeta. So you are not supposed to lie. Sampajano satani na kaira. So don't deliberately do any kind of deceptive thing. Don't cheat. Don't do any deceptive activity. At jivitena panyaya silabbatena nanya mati manyi. And you may be doing a good thing and you are maintaining a good life. You are a very good moral person. Your livelihood is pretty good. And your moral conduct is pretty good. And you are also an ardent practitioner. But don't do that. Don't use that to criticize another. Then, Sutta rusito bahung vachang samanang va putujjanam parusena na pativajja nahi santo patiseni karonti. When provoked, having heard many words from ascetics who speak profusely, he should not respond to them harshly. For the good, do not retaliate. So basically, now as I already mentioned, so as one is living in the community, living within a group, there are many different kinds of temperaments are there. You can't expect everyone to be sort of with good ethics, with good conduct. Everyone to understand your feelings, your motivation, your skills, your strengths. But on the other hand, the people start quickly agitated and they quickly start criticizing and they start using harsh words, even filthy words, and they get provoked easily and then they start attacking. All these things are possible. These are quite possible situations. But here, interestingly, Buddha say, okay, just be patient when these things are happening and don't quickly, harshly respond. Now, typically what happens is when someone is criticizing, you also start criticizing that person. When someone start speaking harshly and you also start speaking harshly. So this is the typical tit for tat attitude that the society is having. But Buddha is saying, okay, if you are a monk, if you are a practitioner, don't do that. People may do that. People start retaliating. People start using harsh words, criticisms, etc. But you need to remember, okay, I am going in a different direction now. I am not following the old trait now. I am not following the old habit now. Now I am going in a different direction. Probably you can remember that the Buddha's advice using the saw with two handles. So both sides have two handles and it is a saw. Kakachupama simile. The simile of the saw. So at many occasions that Buddha himself and other monks are using that as an extreme example how to maintain one's very introvert, very innocent, harmless kind of an attitude in oneself. Because the society is not like that. The society is society. Society is often criticized. They start using harsh speech. They start using divisive speech. They start a lot of condemnation. And all these things are the society. You can't expect everyone to understand the ethics and everything. And you as the practitioner, one has to take care of yourself. For that, Buddha has given the example. Buddha has given the sort of the instruction. Etancha dhamma manyaya vichinang bhikkhu sada sato sikhi santiti nibbuting nyatva sasane gotamassa na pamajjaya. Having understood this dhamma, investigating, a bhikkhu should always train mindfully. Having known quenching as peace, he should not be heedless in Gautama's teaching. Now, it's very much like a summary. Having understood this Dhamma, now Buddha has talked about the Dhamma, he's explained about the discipline, and very briefly mentioned about the mindful practice, the wisdom practice, and train mindfully now. You got to train mindfully. Because there may be inner sort of desires, cravings arising, you have to maintain mindfulness. There may be a lot of outside distractions, you have to maintain sense restraint. There may be different kinds of defilements in the mind, so you have to be mindful, then only you are quickly indicated about it. So maintaining mindfulness continuously becomes very much like a essential practice. Having known quenching as peace, now calming down the defilements, relinquishing the defilements, letting go of the desires, and so that one become more calm, more quiet, internally silent, free from inner chatter, maintaining kind of inner stillness. Now this understanding this as the reaching towards the Nibbana. This is the path towards the Nibbana. So you feel cool, you feel calm, you feel tranquil. Okay, this is the path towards Nibbana. Okay, understand that. Having known quenching as peace, he should not be heedless in Gautama's teaching. Sasane Gautamassa na pamajjaya. Now Buddha here in this Tuvataka Sutta, we can see that Buddha directly instruct in a more concise way. Okay, you should do this, something like that. So that is why the term Tuvataka Sutta, the term is given for that. Tuvataka means that quickly. Rather than giving so many instructions, rather than giving too many alternatives, okay, Buddha is giving a direct instruction. Okay, you got to do this. That's it. So if you are doing that, okay, it's very quick. You are ready to attain Nibbana, something like that. So that's why it is very straightforward, the instructions given in this Tuvataka Sutta. And therefore it is known as Tuvataka Patipada, a quick Patipada. There are no too many things and direct to the point. You are supposed to do this. If you are ready to do that, okay, you can quickly attain Nibbana. Abhibhu hiso anabhibhuto sakhi dhammang nitihama dassi. Tasmahi tassa bhagavato sasane apamatto sadha namassa manusikketi. For he is a conqueror who is himself unconquered. He saw the Dhamma as a witness, not by hearsay. Therefore, heedful in that Blessed One's teaching, always honoring it, one should train in accordance with it. Now, the first two sentences is about the Buddha, for he is the conqueror. Now, Buddha is recognized as a kind of a conqueror, who himself is unconquered. He saw the Dhamma as a witness, not by hearsay. Now, he understood the Dhamma, he realized the Dhamma, and then he explained. Not that he guessed it or do a kind of assumption and taken from someone else and from a book, from a sacred book, and say, okay, it is said like this, okay, he said like that. Buddha's teaching is not like that. So he realized the Dhamma. So that's a very interesting way of putting it, because certain occasions are there, sometimes people are referring a particular book, referring another person and telling, okay, this person has this, that, mentioned that. So this is mentioned like this, that book has mentioned like that. So, but Buddha, when he is explaining, okay, I understood, I realized, this is the path, I practice like this, okay, you got to do this. So very, very straightforward, very direct speech is there. It is not a guesswork in a way. And once you realize that particular feature in the Buddha's teaching, okay, you start putting yourself into it. Wholeheartedly you are trying to sort of behave in a way that how Buddha has mentioned. Because you understand, okay, I have a lot of defects, I have a lot of mistakes. My mind is not yet straight. My mind is filled with a lot of defilements. I have a lot of wrong sort of attitudes, a lot of defilements. So you understand honestly, okay, I am here, I am still in a wrong position. But let's start. So let's put into the correct direction. Okay, change the direction. Now try to swim upstream. And once you take that decision, and now you have the sort of a role model from the Buddha, so he realized, he practiced, and he's not doing a kind of a cheaty work. Rather, he himself has practiced. He has put a lot of effort, and not an easy task. And he has put a lot of effort, and he showed us a interesting role model, excellent role model. And having realized that, only he has preached. And knowing this special quality in the Buddha's teaching, now you yourself is putting 100%, wholeheartedly practice. And for that, the instruction is given in the Tuvataka Sutta, okay, you do this. Without any alternative, okay, you do this. It's very straightforward. So that is why the Tuvataka Sutta is known as the Tuvataka Patipada. Very straightforward instructions are there. Starting with the fairly advanced instruction. Now, actually the latter part of the sutta talks about the conduct. Talks about, moral conduct. But the early part is talking about the wisdom conduct. Moolam papancha sankhaya. Manta asmiti sabbang uparundi. Yakachi tanha ajjattang. Tasang vinaya sada sato sikki. Now this very verse has a fairly strong, very precise, very advanced instruction for Panya Sikha, the wisdom practice. You understand, okay, for the papancha, for various kind of proliferations, so asmi is the root cause. I am is the root cause. This self-identification is the root cause. Various different kinds of self-narratives is the root cause. So realizing that, okay, you cut off that self-view. That's a very, very strong instruction that one can't do that immediately. To do that, you need all that practice. Moral conduct is required. You have to maintain the self-restraint. sense restraint, maintain good moral conduct, time to time practice samatha meditation and calm down yourself. Not yet because you have seen the wisdom growing quickly. So practice certain amount of samatha practice and time to time get that calmness of the mind, tranquility in the mind, free from the proliferation. Now get into the wisdom practice, realizing, okay, how this eye making happens, how this mind making happens, how the inner chatter happens, how you promote some wrong attitudes, wrong behaviors. Very, very interesting introspection is there. It's a long-term introspection. And for that, you need to have continuous mindfulness. Sada sato sikkhe. While being mindful, you have to restrain yourself, oneself. Okay, so that is the Tuvataka Sutta, and so we have spent, I think, 4 or 5 weeks in this Tuvataka Sutta. I like to conclude it today, and now I like to open the session for questions.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. If no one has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or even send them through the chat. Bhante, are you also arranging for a trip to the US this year?
Yes, that is a plan. There is a discussion actually going on. It is good that you asked this question. Actually, Bhante Dhammaji was supposed to come to US in May, and he will conduct several retreats in US, as usual in New Jersey, West Virginia, and then in Texas. So these are the arranged retreats for him right now, and then he will travel to Canada and then to UK. For me, actually, I am planning to come in July, because this time the Vassa begins in end of July. So I hope to spend Vassa in US. Still things are under discussion, how to arrange the retreats and all that are under discussion. And as you all know already, Nissarana Buddhist Monastery, a branch monastery of Mitrigala Nissarana is already established, but not yet there is a place for this in US. So now fundraising activities are very much like undertaken, and some of you may receive an email from the board of directors of Nissarana Buddhist Monastery and requesting some support, and again a newsletter also compiled that also you will receive. And if anyone of you like to receive that newsletter, please give your email address, and maybe Jennifer can collect that email address, or you can visit the Nissarana Buddhist Monastery USA website. It is called nissarana.usa.org. nissarana.usa.org is the Nissarana Buddhist Monastery USA website. So things are very much in the initiative level. It's already a non-profit organization. It's a 501c status was taken, and now things are moving forward. And so Bhante Dhammajiva's visit and my visit further trying to move in that direction, to find a particular place, establish a monastery, or find a particular place and just start with in a small way as a residence for the monks to spend a little longer. So this is the way that it's moving forward. So targeting that, Bhante Dhammajiva and myself will come to US. Bhante Dhammajiva, as I mentioned, in May, and I am supposed to come in July.
Thank you, Bhante. That's great news. Are you also going to be residing in West Virginia?
This time has a different plan. Still the still the place is not decided, because during the Vassa period I hope to travel to different states and do certain this kind of retreats. So that's why we thought of finding a place in north part, maybe in New Jersey, maybe or in Pennsylvania or New York or some sort of area. So this is the kind of plan right now we have. Things are under discussion actually.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, everyone in the chat, I've provided the Nissarana USA website. You can also, through that website, I believe, make donations as well. And looks like we have some questions. Andra, hi, welcome. Feel free to unmute.
Thank you, Jenny. Bhante, just a quick generic question. I just want to know, will you be coming to Australia by any chance anytime soon?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I'll be there in 19th March. I'm supposed to come there, and so I can share with you the already scheduled retreats. Actually, I'll be there till May 7th. Actually, on all 4 states there are several programs organized, like in say starting in Melbourne, starting in Newbury Monastery, and then going to Sydney, and then let me see, I also can't remember.
That would be good if you can get the brochure, like for the dates.
Okay.
Especially the Melbourne one. Thank you.
Give me a second. Okay, I'll share it to this chat and probably how to share
sure.
that.
Thank you, Bhante. Okay. That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay.
Thank you. And then next we have a question from Priya.
Hi, Bhante.
Hi.
Thero Sarnai.
Yeah, Thero Sarnai.
Bhante, I want to know if you have an English translation of your book, Prapancha Nisprapancha?
Not yet. Actually, there's a new book actually already published on identification and non-identification. That's also a very very interesting book. You can start with that. This Prapancha Nisprapancha book, it's currently available on in Sinhala. Maybe in the future, not the exactly same one, but a different one may be able to publish.
Okay. It's for my daughter. Her Sinhala is not that well. So I mean, she doesn't know much Dhamma, but she's very interested in learning. So do you think the book that you mention is
no for the beginner? No, for the beginner, I don't think it's targeted. For the beginner, there is another book called Satipatthana, the Essential Teachings for Practice.
I see.
So that is also available in our website, Nissarana website and Nissarana Sri Lanka website and US website. Both have these books, and probably you can try to find that. Let me see. Just many books are available in the Nissarana website. So what I have mentioned are already uploaded to the website. I'll give the link. I'll put the link to the chat and you can find them here. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Thero Sarnai.
Yeah, Thero Sarnai.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Maura. Feel free to unmute.
Thank you, Jennifer. Bhante, I have a theoretical question about the terminology, substitution of opposites. So when you're doing some of the contemplations, what does that really mean? Is it something automatic or is it something you need to bring into your mind?
Actually, I didn't really get the question.
There's a terminology called substitution of opposites.
Can you explain a little bit? Can you explain it a little?
So it's part of the contemplations that, you have the 7 or 8 contemplations in Vipassana.
Substitution is the opposite. But maybe you are referring that, assume that in one sense, when there is an anger going on, you can substitute the opposite, that you are developing the loving kindness. On the other hand, if there are lustful thoughts available, you are practicing the opposite. That is the asubha, the loathsomeness of the body. So is that what you are referring, or something more?
I might have to read that chapter again and try to understand myself before I pose the question, I think. Yes, I was wondering whether it was something that was more, thought-orientated rather than you actually, or does it go towards a practice that if you, at that time, see yourself having certain things, then you take its opposite and practice that to reduce the particular thing, or does your mind automatically bring that up because of the contemplation?
No, in a way that your question has a good meaning. Now, what happened in the mind is we already have certain conditioned nature, so that we are unable to see the impermanence, we are unable to see the suffering, the unsatisfaction, we are unable to see the non-self, and we are unable to see the loathsomeness. We do the complete opposite. What is impermanent, we see as permanent. What is suffering, we see as happiness. What is non-self, we perceive as self. What is loathsome, we perceive as beautiful. So these are called vipallasa, the perversions in the mind. So therefore, Buddha has recommended a certain preparatory type of practices in the Girimananda Sutta. So these are what we call as a 10 sanya, 10 perceptions. Those are quite helpful just to change the attitude in the mind. Now say, instead of you are developing the nicca sanya, the permanent view, you develop the anicca sanya. Okay, you are developing certain kind of impermanence, the perception of impermanence, perception of non-self, perception of loathsomeness, perception of death, perception of understanding the consequences of this body. So like that, there are 10 perceptions explained in the Girimananda Sutta. Actually, the last one is in a way the practice. Anapanasati is the practice. There are 9 perceptions altogether in this Girimananda Sutta. And those are kind of helping guidelines. Okay, this is the direction that one has to move. Your focus, your attention, your perception have to be into this direction, rather on the opposite. Now, currently we have the opposite direction. Now you got to change to the other direction. Now, the Satipatthana practice, on the other hand, help us to realize it. Now, all these perceptions are not mere perceptions. Those are to be realized, that you have to practice. You have to practice mindfulness and tranquility, and then using tranquility and mindfulness, you can realize what Buddha has meant. They are not just blind beliefs. They are not merely stop over at the perception. Rather than you can realize it. So impermanent have to be realized. The suffering has to be realized. The non-self has to be realized. So likewise, so you are now developing mindfulness and wisdom so that you are able to realize these things. So therefore, sometimes Buddha has come up with various menus in a way. In certain occasion, okay, he is telling, okay, monks, you need to practice anicca sanya, you need to practice dukkha sanya, you need to practice anatta sanya, you need to practice marananussati. Okay, then you attain nibbana. Another time he say, okay, you need to practice anicca sanya, dukkha sanya, anatta sanya, maybe asubha sanya, maybe what else? Nibbidhanupassana. So like that, he has come up with different formulas in the sense, different menus to suit with that particular monk, and telling, okay, you got to practice this, and then you will be it is helpful to you. This is your kammatthana. Altogether, these 9 are explained in this Girimananda Sutta. Probably it's a very, very popular sutta, and it's available there.
Thank you, Bhante. Are you likely to cover the Girma and the Sutta one day?
Possible, yes. That's an interesting one. Actually, there in Sinhala it was covered. I think I did it in a retreat. Now it is available as a Sinhala book in the website. But I think I haven't covered in the Sutta teaching. Probably we can take it in one day.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah, so these things, sometimes you have to know yourself, internal self, and where the weakness is to start practicing, isn't it? So you need to be self-aware.
Yeah, exactly. Because thing is that we individually have our own traits. Now assume that you are a person, okay, with seeing things as more beautiful. We have that attitude. So rather than penetratively looking it in an impermanent and sort of neutral way, sometimes we look at things in a more beautiful, more fantastic, wonderful. So that kind of beauty-oriented perception may be available in the mind. Sometimes the opposite may be there. Sometimes people start criticizing and they find fault everywhere, never being happy, never being satisfied, always complaining. So this is another type of character, another kind of an attitude sometimes people are having. So different people have different attitudes. Different people have different this kind of personality traits. So if we are able to understand our own personality traits very much lingering in the mind, then we better find some suitable teaching from the Buddha and then better practice it. Then it's kind of a quite good thing for us, because we are the ones known. If we are really mindful, then we have the capacity to look at our own traits, understand our own weaknesses.
Can I ask a practical question?
Mm-hmm.
So when on retreat, sometimes you get to a point where you become it's very intense, and also it becomes like your mind is very I don't know, intense is the word, restricted. So at that time, what I automatically tend to do is to go to nature, and like you say the beauty in birds or the trees. Is that a bad thing to do, or
No.
Then I get some sort of joy and I become a little bit more energized?
Yeah. I don't think so. I mentioned there as the beauty from the worldly point of view, worldly in the sense more into sensuality side. But being in the nature, as you said, and just look at the trees and look at the sky, and this nature is particularly have the potential to heal the mind, not to agitate the mind, rather to heal the mind, to calm down, to relax the mind. So therefore, that's a good practice also. It's not a bad thing. It's something that Buddha sometimes also has recommended. Okay, you look at very far away sky, and there's a separate Dhutanga, ascetic practice called what's the Pali term? Abbokāsikāṅga. So monks are supposed to, whoever dwelling that, so they are not using a roof, they are not using a kuti or a dwelling place, rather they are simply in the open environment. So like that. So the Buddha has a very direct, interesting relationship with the environment. He is born under a tree, he enlightened under a tree, and passed away under a tree.
Yes, that's good to hear. Thank you so much, Bhante.
Okay. Yeah,
Thero
yeah.
Saranai.
Yeah, Thero Saranai.
Hi, Andra. Do you have another question?
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Bhante, just a query on the retreats in Melbourne. Is it like only retreats all those 7 days, or do we have just sermons as well we can attend?
Yeah, sermon is there. Now every retreat has, now if it is a 6-day or 5-day retreat, then definitely five sermons are there.
Okay, so can we just attend this sermon only, or we have to?
Should be okay. I mean, attending even the sermon, if you are unable to attend the say the whole retreat, that's sometimes people.
Right.
I saw that some just peep into the sermon. No issue.
Okay.
No problem. Actually, in Melbourne now, the post I have shared doesn't have the information about the Newbury retreat. Newbury retreat is a very short retreat, just 1 or 2 day retreat, and that information is not there. And I also didn't receive the confirm. I mean, they already committed, and things are now under discussion, and soon that detail may be available.
Okay, so maybe we can attend the Newbury one because I have a small kid, so that's why I was wondering, Bhante, whether I can just attend one of the sermons at least. Should I just email Jennifer then, just to get the information, just the details, or the contact on the brochure?
Contact on the brochure. Because Jennifer in US.
The same person from Melbourne, right, Bhante?
Yeah.
The Newbury one as well?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right,
yes,
thank you, Bhante. That's
okay.
all.
Okay. Yeah, Thero Sanai.
Hi, Gita, feel free to unmute.
Bhante, I have a question about an experience during a meditation sit recently. I suppose I sat with the expectation that I would feel relaxed and went through a bit of a body scan to relax everything. But from there onwards, I found that my whole body was like, I don't know whether it was a tension, but it was painful. Not excruciating pain, but it was very uncomfortable, and it was felt as if every cell in my body was in this sort of painful, uncomfortable kind of sensation. So I didn't know what else to do except to just watch. There was sometimes a temptation to sit up or stand up and walk away, but I didn't. But the whole sitting didn't pass. It just kept persisting with this sort of like, and all I could think was, this is suffering. This is that the whole body is pervaded with suffering.
Correct. It's a strong insight in a way, but understanding it experientially needs a lot of patience. I mean, these are different aspects of the teaching, because sometimes the impermanence is more prominent, and you see the impermanent nature. Things are every time collapsing, and they are simply arising and passing away. They are dismantling. So you see the impermanent in a more drastic way. But as you said, another time you look at the suffering aspect. It's really a suffering. I mean, it's almost like unbearable, and it is not that you get up and go, but still you are bearing it, but you accept the ongoing suffering. It's a kind of an oppression going on. So you see that, you realize that. On the other hand, the non-self aspect, things are completely out of control, and you see that you can't find anything belong to you, you can't find anything under control on you. Any sort of self is impossible to impose, to establish. So mind become completely open, unattached, unestablished. So then that is the non-self aspect. So likewise in our practice, so these different aspects of the reality can become evident. At that time, understanding it is the best thing. So I feel like it is not mere bodily pain, but you are able to penetratively look at it and get an insight from that.
Yes, it was not a usual kind of pain, and I knew there was nothing I could do but to just, even if I moved, I didn't think it was going to go away. So, yes, thank you, Bhante, because that's what it felt like, just pure dukkha.
Correct. The thing is, now for a beginner, sometimes we instruct, you change the posture, and you don't need to really
sort of endure the whole excruciating pain, rather you change the posture. But when someone is into that angle, and if that is their opening, then it has to be allowed in a way, rather than changing the posture.
Okay, Bhante. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yaswa, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Bhante. Bhante, I heard a few times about the Newbury Monastery, so I thought of about your Dhamma talk going to be in Newbury. I just wanted to share that last weekend was a long weekend in Australia, so I was there for attending a short retreat for 3 days, and then I was talking to this. It was conducted by Western Australia, Buddhist Society of Western Australia. Just because it was a long weekend, I went there, and then from the retreat manager, I asked about your coming. Then she said yes, but it is still not 100% confirmed, in the sense like they are discussing with the actual organizer, but she thinks that you will be there. And Bhante, regarding the previous person, I think that place is a very, very relaxed place. We can just walk in and listen to the Dhamma talk. I don't think there should be any problem with that, Bhante. It is a very nice place and a nice facility.
Right.
The only thing is almost, I think, 2 hours away from Melbourne.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Last time you participated in Sydney retreat, right?
Yes, I am actually in Sydney, but the thing is, because of the long weekend, and I also had some plan to. I wanted to go and see the place and also spend some time in Melbourne.
Right. Okay.
So because of that, I went there last weekend, Bhante.
Okay.
And Bhante, when you are coming to Sydney in April, also I'm probably not going to be in Sydney, so I have already booked to attend in Perth.
Okay.
From 1st to 6th, the English version. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Thero Sanai.
Bhante, can I ask something from you?
Yes.
I'm from Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Actually, Bhante, my first marriage was collapsed, and I'm completely legally divorced person. I'm occupied as my designation as an assistant lecturer in tourism. Attached to Ceylon Hotel School.
Right.
But my unhappy experiences of all my 90% of my life is pushing me towards bhikkhuhood. My age is 42.
Right.
And I have selected Nissarana Forest Monastery, and I am as a Tuvataka who has no idea whatsoever what is bhikkhuhood and what should be a person should have as practices and mental gravity to become a bhikkhu beforehand. My intention was I can go and have yogi step first for 1 year minimum, and then I will be able to enter to Buddhist monk situation.
Right.
But I was open to Homagama Dhammakusala Thero in my campus in mindfulness program for 1 year.
Right.
And when I contacted Homagama Dhammakusala Thero, Bhikkhunath Thero said it is a series of steps to be taken to prepare myself from Puttaka Jivite to Bhikkhu Jivite. Actually, sorry to say, Bhante, I am blank. I want to release from this bondful of painful Jivite and experience some holy relaxation. I have totally selected Nissarana. My question, if I give myself short, my question is how to prepare mentally and physically, where I have love affairs, where I have job life bonds, where I have personal life bonds, and some opposite sex attraction needed, and I was married, and I was divorced from this charo. Something like a charo. How can I prepare my mind and body to become a Buddhist monk? So please.
Yeah. Okay, actually, our manager has forwarded your request to me. I replied to your email. I saw the email you have written to the Nissarana, and they forwarded it to me, and I responded it. Probably you might get it. And so basic thing in Nissarana Vanaya is that first you come as a layperson and practice for some time, and just merely spend longer period in the upper monastery and doing meditation and doing some other say activities like helping monks and some little duties are there. So you spend that. So that actually helps to be free from that burden that typically now you have a lot of responsibilities, certain personality traits and all that. Now once you come to the monastery, all are sort of have to forget in a way, because you are not supposed to use the book, rather the phone. You don't have any watching the movies or TVs or music or radios. Nothing is there. So you are automatically you are cut off from the society naturally. So as you are living there for several months, slowly all that burden, all that responsibilities are now slowly forgotten. Then you naturally get into this attitude of, okay, now you are more focused on developing mindfulness, developing wisdom, so that side. Therefore it will take some time, and typically we are also not ordaining very quickly, rather we give some time for the newcomer. So he spends several months doing this, and then he becomes confident, okay, now I am ready, okay, I have sort of confidence, I can do this, I am able to give up all my attachments, all these relationships. Now I can sort of give up, I can maintain a secluded life. Now you get that strength in you, and you don't need to quickly run away. Rather you feel, okay, I have selected the correct place and I want to be here, and you decide like that. And again, don't expect everybody to support. Then there are certain different characters, different temperaments, and you can have certain difficulties there, and you have to endure that. That is also coming. On the other hand, all that help you to develop your sort of preparation to the monkhood. And when things are going in a positive way, then you can make a request, and then things will turn up in that direction. So the first thing is just come and spend some time and see whether you can adhere to that environment, completely cut off from the sensual gratification, and be in the simple forest environment.
Okay, if there's any follow-up questions, please feel free to raise your hand again. Hi, Maura, you have another question?
Yes, thank you. Bhante, I've registered for your retreat in Perth on the 1st of May. And I think 1st of May is the Vesak Day. I'm just wondering whether we have a special chanting or anything special because it's Vesak Day.
I am not sure about it because in the retreat setting we simply give more opportunity to the practice, not much into the celebrations or anything. Probably Ajahn Brahm's monastery, the Bodhinyana monastery, they might have something, but the retreat the retreat is on Jhana Grove, the retreat center. So I don't think that the retreat center may have anything, but the Bodhinyana monastery might have something.
Yes, that's a great thing. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Okay.
Hi, Geshan. Feel free to unmute.
Saranai Bhante, I hope you can hear.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing the PDF version with me and the self and non-self. I have started reading that. So I think it is definitely helpful. Of course, there are certain words that I don't understand, so it's good to sort of have that and Google these words as well for the semantics and etc. My question today, I think this is a question that I had for a while and trying to sort of gain some insight as well. And, time to time, even from the childhood and listening to Dhamma talks as well from you and Dhammajiva Swami Nwansa and various other monks as well. I sort of see this raga. We live in this illusion, and all the time we are engaged with the likings and the dislikes and in-betweens, and so we sort of say raga, dvesha, moha. So when the thought comes to you, and or to my mind rather, it is, if it is a desired type of a thought, it is pretty easy for me to sort of distinguish that it is on this particular bucket. The same way a dvesha, which is type of a thought, I can easily identify. What I cannot, or what I struggle rather, not that I cannot struggle, that in between phase, what those thoughts are for moha type of thoughts. And then that is the hardest part. And when the desired type of a thought comes, I apply the insight, and it's not mine, the three steps, and then sort of contemplate on it, and I see the decays on that, where else the dvesha. And what I cannot sort of or since I cannot identify, or I'm not still skillful to identify the moha towards that, and so I cannot apply these three insights. I know this Dhamma talk also sort of talked about it. Any wisdom that you can share? Thank you.
Yeah, actually most of the thoughts are in a way useless. So they assume that we are thinking 1,000 thoughts per minute or something. Then 999 are useless. And if we are able to recognize, say, greed in that and hatred in that, in certain thoughts, so that you can straightforward, and you mentioned that you can do that. The rest are the moha, the delusion-based thoughts. So actually, the delusion, the moha, is in each and every thought. Even in the greed thought, there is a delusion. Even in the hatred, ill will type of thought, the moha, the delusion is included. And the other rest of the type of thoughts are all deluded type of thoughts. Because thing is, we have the delusion are at different levels in a way. So one level is that we already mentioned that about the perversions. So we can't understand the impermanence, and we instead see the permanence. We can't understand the suffering, instead we see things as the satisfaction. We can't understand the non-self, we see things as self. So most often thoughts are into that direction. They're always telling, okay, this is permanent, this is really beautiful, this is myself, this belongs to me, and I am the one who did it properly, I am the best person. So always self-promoting thoughts are there. All these self-promoting thoughts are deluded thoughts. All these permanency related thoughts are deluded thoughts. All these satisfaction related thoughts are in a way the deluded thoughts. So therefore delusion is everywhere in a way. The moha is almost everywhere. So more we develop wisdom, then slowly the thinking itself become less. Because you know that avidya pacca sankhara, sankhara pacca vijnana. So avidya pacca sankhara, the ignorant mind is more into fabrications. But more you develop wisdom, so that wise mind become more and more calm, more and more tranquil, free from proliferation, free from fabrication. So mind get a peace, mind get certain rest, mind get tranquility, mind get kind of clarity. So then you can easily understand whenever a thought happen, okay, how the self narrative is there, how the self promotion is there, how I making is there, mind making is there. Because often our thoughts are like that. Most often our thoughts are trying to promote the self. So if we are able to penetratively look at, okay, how this thought is trying to trick me, then it's a very interesting scenario. So rather than you being deluded by that self-promoting thought, you look at the delusion in it. Penetratively see, okay, this is a trick mind is trying to play. This is the delusion type of thought, delusion-based thought.
Yes, it is interesting. That's, I think there are certain aspects that I sort of experience, and it's like sometimes you observe these, and then you see there is nothing for a short period.
Mm-hmm.
Again it start coming, and again it sees emptiness,
Mm-hmm.
kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a cyclic thing for me sometimes, but of course in the lay life there are time to time you sort of get engaged with a lot of activities, and and then you completely forget about, and then while you're doing certain activities as well, you sort of lose that type of interest. Why am I doing this kind of? So you question yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of has happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually that is something that Buddha promoted also, because he asked us to do that reflection. When you do an activity and just before the beginning of that activity, you do a reflection, see whether it is worth doing it. And if you get the answer, yes, it's better worth doing it, and then you are doing it, and while doing also Buddha say, okay, time to time have this reflection. Is it better to continue? Is it worth continuing this activity? And assume that you get the answer yes, then you continue. If you get the answer no, then you give up. And at the end of the activity also he say, okay, you just make a reflection. Is this really helpful, that what I did? Is it helpful for me, and is it helpful for the others? So like that, the reflection that you mentioned is something that Buddha promoted.
Yes, but when I see that, when I try to reflect, I see it's very hard for me to sort of say this, but I see that other than the monetary value that has to sort of gain to pay bills per se, I see there is such a dislike to everything, you know, that you're doing for the sake of doing sometimes. You got to do it because there are dependents. So you basically be a slave kind of thing as well.
Yeah, that is quite correct. Quite correct. That you have some social obligations and family obligations, and therefore you are doing it. But now in a way, you yourself is not a sort of victim of that vicious cycle. Rather, you are knowingly doing it. Okay, I am doing it just for the sake of. I am doing it just for the sake of my dependents. Okay, they are depending on me. I am supposed to help them, so I am just doing it, but not in a more greedy, more miserly way. But I am doing it just for the sake of safeguarding my dependents. That's in a way a good attitude, because typically what happens is people are more greedy and they are completely not contented, and they are more and more not sharing and more accumulating, and in a more competitive way that they are doing. But the opposite is there, as what you are saying. Okay, I am supposed to do it, but I understand it's useless in a way. I mean, that's not really value other than paying the bills. There are certain dependents, so I have to look after them. That's why I am doing it. That is what with understanding you are doing it. At the moment we are not able to completely give up things. We have certain responsibilities. I am doing it just for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Thero Saranai. Jennifer, I think we can wind up. Are there any? It seems there are no one, right?
No, we are complete with questions today.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then we'll wind up the session, and we have spent fair amount of time in short practice, and then learning the Buddha's teaching, and then discussing our own practice and the teaching, and all the merit what we have accumulated we share with all the celestial beings, all the past relatives, and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path fruition nibbana. We'll recite the traditional verses. Yattavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu sasanang cirang rakkhantu desanang cirang rakkhantu mamparang idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya idamme punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamunchatu.
Thank you, Bante. Thero Saranai.
Yeah, Thero Saranai.